So, welcome back to my channel, guys. Today's another episode that we are going to learn more about small wins. So, the topic today is about small wins, big changes, and today we are going to share about different insights that will completely validate our new and entrepreneurial mindset that I've personally adopted over the first couple of weeks. And I'm telling you guys, I'm going to share this information up absolutely for free. This one should be paid, but it's going to be shared absolutely. I'll definitely be watching, and perhaps for those ones who want to be taking notes, feel free. And if you'll be planning a trip to maybe to Kenya, to Africa, feel free because I would love to give you the best food places that you can get in exchange for short business conversations. So thank you guys. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about small wins but big changes. Um, just think about it. How often do you set a big goal? You're f- you are full of excitement only to feel that you're stuck a few days later. Maybe you want to start your business. You want to start exercising that you can maybe manage your BMI. You want to learn a new skill, but you also try to be more productive. You start very high, in a high tone. You start strong, full of motivation, and then life happens. And you wonder, am I even moving forward? And the truth is, literally, you are moving forward. And the truth is, you are there, but real progress doesn't happen in giant leaps. It happens in those small, consistent baby steps. Today, I want to show you how small wins lead to big changes and why your tiniest actions that you take every day are more productive and powerful than you ever think. Um, One of the reasons that we have to that is making me decide to work on this video so that we can understand why small wins matter. So big change is not built overnight. It's not made from one grand gesture or maybe one huge effort, but rather it's built from tiny actions that you do consistently or repeatedly. Just think about it. If you're making your bed in the morning, you are doing push-ups, or maybe you're writing one paragraph, one word by word, drinking a glass of water. It might feel insignificant to some extent, but over days, months, or years, that one can compound itself to something which is extraordinary. So every small action that you take builds momentum. It also builds confidence. It creates discipline. And those tiny actions start over time become the habits that will transform your future. Um, just consider that you get these small wins, and this is why small wins do matter because our brains are wired to respond to the progress that we are making. So every time you perform a task, no matter how small it is, your brain releases some dopamine, or we can call it a chemical reward. And that one makes you feel good. It motivates you to do the next big thing. And this is how your habits are transformed. So even tiny steps repeatedly done repeatedly or consistently create a loop or maybe a habitual loop that cues action and rewards over time. So this can rewire your brain to make action easier and motivation becomes less necessary. and that is how you are likely to make your success. So when you talk about small wins, it's what that we do repeatedly that makes us achieve all that we want to get in the long run. So, and as we do that, um, there's something that prevents us from making it big, so to speak, and we call it from doubt to action. So, have you ever felt stuck, even though you thought that you know everything? Maybe you've studied, you've read, you've researched on a project, and still nothing is happening. Just sitting there, paralyzed, overthinking, and waiting for the perfect moment to act, or perhaps you are waiting for the time for you to respond and attack. That moment never comes. And the more you wait, the more louder that doubt whispers to you. What if you fail? What if I'm wrong? What if this is not good enough? What if this is not going to give me the amount of money that I want to get? But today we are going to explore how to break that cycle of overthinking, and show you how to move from doubt to consistent and meaningful action. So, doubt, or maybe perhaps waiting for that moment, causes analysis, or maybe paralyzes your mind towards taking action. But here's the thing, having deep knowledge or maybe expertise in a certain field can make your action harder because you know too much. You can see every obstacle and you can also be able to weigh or get the risks involved. Your mind can maybe analyze issues endlessly, but analyzing problems without taking action often results to paralysis. So knowledge alone does not create results. Knowledge is just fuel, while action that is required is the engine that propels you to the next big step. Right now, having that knowledge can be compared to a scenario where your task is full, but your tank is full, but your engine is not moving or making any step. But today we are going to turn on the engine. Today, in this video, we're going to turn on the engine. Just take a moment, think of how good or maybe how a goal or a project that you had for a long time but you've hesitated to start it. Have it clearly in your mind. Hold that thought, but keep it there as you move forward. So in the next step we can talk about how we break those goals into tiny steps. And then that is how I talked about small wins or small gains. So you need to break that goal into tiny steps. Um, because having that big goal can be overwhelming, but the secret is to break them into small micro actions. So, for instance, if you want to write a book, you start by writing a paragraph. If you want to do a big project, you start by having a rough idea for 10 minutes, or perhaps creating a prototype to see if your project is worthwhile. Um, Small actions are like dominoes because one small step triggers another one. One paragraph that you start while writing a book leads to another. One sketch leads to another one. And that is how you build momentum, which grows naturally. So at this stage, my viewers, perfection is not required, but only consistent actions, or maybe consistent actions to move your head. Um, for you to be able to take action, you also need to reframe failure. You need to understand failure. because it's the fear of failure which is the number one killer of action. And the fear of failure whispers to you and tells you, what if this one doesn't work? What if I'm wrong? What if I'm dreaming? But we need this mindset shift, because failure is just some feedback that you receive that you are not doing things right. So it's a feedback, but we can't term it as judgment, because each attempt that we make teaches you something, or gives you information which you term as feedback. I remember one of the prominent authors by the name Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb, but he didn't perceive each and every failure as a defeat, but rather it was an attempt to move him to the next stage. And that is how he conquered the fear of failure. So the next time that I want to hesitate about because of fear, just remember that inaction is the only true failure. And without action, you are not going to get anything in return. So, how can we program taking action, or maybe how can we move irrespective of the doubt that we have? We can do this one by time boxing, and one practical way. This is one of the most practical ways to break our overthinking, because we need to set a fixed time to act. We need to have consistent timelines and commit ourselves towards taking action. Um, for instance, um, if you don't have a good plan of your time, maybe in a certain project, it can prevent your brain from debating endlessly. So you don't need to do everything perfectly. All that is needed is you to start. Um, if you have a timer, for instance, for those people that are involved in athletics, once you have to start the race, you have a definite time in which you're supposed to finish up with the race. And that is a similar case scenario that we should apply to our projects. Um, Once we are also taking action, we need to remove our doubt so that we can also reverse maybe our PhD in failure. And this one can be done by being accountable, because doubt thrives in isolation. So that's why accountability matters. Just tell a friend or a colleague or maybe your mentor about your next small step. Commit themselves publicly, but suddenly that inaction will feel heavier on yourself, and each and every action that you take becomes easier. So if you talk about, you think about it, talk about it, then act on it. So you feel the extra push to follow through. Um, Another thing that we can do, so that we can reverse maybe our PhD in failure and see actual results, is to start before we are ready. So in this case, we don't wait for the perfect moment, rather, because there is no perfect moment in time. So conditions will never be ideal, and confidence doesn't arrive before action, because confidence is built, or confidence grows from action. So you start small, start imperfectly, but you start right now. So just take that tiny action that you want to take today, write that one paragraph, make that one call, make, or maybe perform that one experiment, and imagine completing it imperfectly. Wait for the right results. So just embrace failure, embrace that fear of making that call to action. So something else is that we should also maybe make reflections on our micro wins. Just think of something that felt impossible and ask yourself, what's that one tiny step that I can take right now? What's that phone call that is needed for me to venture into a certain business that I have in mind? That is why I told you, take that action, or maybe that thing which is in your mind. Take 5 minutes, jot it down, then plan on your next action. Write it down mentally, see yourself doing it, and that's your micro win. See yourself doing that farming business. See yourself doing that techie business. See yourself doing that side hustle, making that fast sale, and that's your micro win today. So, one small step today creates a momentum for tomorrow, and the next day, and the next one. These micro wins often lead to a habit of action, and an action becomes effortless when it becomes a routine. So create a daily ritual, or maybe create a daily routine. Um, do one task, do another one in the midday, another one in the evening. Take that small moment to take action and reflect on your progress, because habits will reduce friction. So even when that self-doubt whispers to you, just make sure that you're moving, because momentum builds quietly, invisibly, until one day when your small actions will produce massive results. Um, Another thing that I talked about in the video description is how you can change your mindset, because we also need mindset mindset shift. Um, you have the knowledge, which is your fuel to your action, but you need to put action to the engine, because without action we expect absolutely nothing, so nothing changes. So these small steps done repeatedly, done consistently, will lead to extraordinary outcomes, either in business or in your day-to-day activities. So failure is feedback. Failure is temporary, but perfection is a mileage. So take a small step today, another tomorrow. Celebrate that micro win, but that momentum that you build will carry you forward. Most likely your doubt will always whisper to yourself, but that momentum that you've created will roar louder, one small action at a time. And suddenly you move from hesitation to unstoppable progress. So remember that you don't have to wait for the perfect conditions when the weather is right, when you have all the finances. You need to start right now, start small, start imperfectly. That action will lead you to, will teach you more than knowledge ever could. So thank you guys as you purpose to move from doubt to action, and also maybe reverse your PhD in failure, your PhD in complaining, up to an extent when you move to maybe you enjoy those small wins, you reflect on the micro wins that you make, up to a time when you celebrate those big wins. So thank you guys. For those ones who've not subscribed, continue subscribing to my channel. This is your number one channel where we teach each other about financial management, how to move forward, how to cast out fear, how to cast out self-doubt, how to make these small baby steps, how to take that first step. As you plan to take action, remember this is your number one channel. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I'll be glad to reply to your questions. So, as usual, guys, my channel is Elijah Enjoy. Feel free to subscribe. I will be sharing more and more. If also you'd like us to share something else, feel free to comment. Uh, if you feel stuck in your business, if you don't know everything that, even though you don't know everything that you need to know, maybe you've studied, you've done everything, and still nothing is happening. Take that step. Don't just sit there paralyzed, overthinking, and waiting for the perfect moment to act or maybe to start doing something. Feel free to reach out to us. Your number one coach here. We do it for free. We do it for free. And thank you guys. Cheers.